Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein, we just completed a 2-player game using the Igor variant, and I managed to win. Fenirob and Super John, I managed to win by a pretty decent margin. I have to say, I have played the original game with all 12 rounds, and I don't see any reason why I would ever play the game other than the way we just played it, because I finished my monster right at the same time that the captain would have ended the game. And he did advance one time because of the one card that was in the humanity deck. But otherwise, I thought that there's no reason for that game to have been any longer. The tension and the gameplay, to me, matched what was the perfect length of the game that we played right there.
Yeah, so I agree. In all aspects, a 2, 3, or 4 player game, you definitely want to do the variant, just because otherwise you were just grinding it out for those first 4 or 5 rounds, trying to build some type of machine, which doesn't matter. What I will say is, 2 players, we were both on the cusp of completing our monster, some good rolls, some bad rolls. 3 or 4 player, I think there's almost no way you complete a monster because you're all vying for these exact same spaces.
No, I mean, you might be able to find an opening to get some blood that you need, but I agree. And I'm not sure. I mean, I think I would play it as a 4-player game, but I think I would be more concentrating on my dials and trying to my reputation and maybe my humanity, especially because those 10 points for a bonus token that was, you have to have 10 humanity. That might be more important. So it does change the nature of the game, but I don't know that it makes it.
I think you got to know going in as a 4-player game.
You have to tell everybody.
You don't listen. If you try to focus on your monster, like if everybody were focusing on their dials, 1 player may be able to complete a monster. Just right. But that's unlikely. You got to know going in as 4 players. You're trying to balance things.
It was very thematic in actually, like, if I'm this mad scientist or turning mad, it's funny. At the end of the game, my reputation was pretty good. I was very good at making a monster expertise-wise. My humanity was, I'm just a little bit weird and probably shady. But I wasn't like a totally, depraved person. I felt like if you were doing this with a 4-player game, you might actually say, I want to make the monster, I want the creature to think I'm working on his monster, but I'm just going to make a couple of legs and maybe a torso just to stay in the game. But this is sick. I don't want to do this type of thing. So I feel like the theme was very strong in the game. What did you think about the luck factor? I felt like the first time I rolled, everything went great. I got 3 monster parts, boom. Next time I rolled, 6 lightnings, and I couldn't do anything about it, even though I had rerolls. I like the way they did the Leyden jars in Igor. It was much easier to get them all charged. You only had to go to the market 1 time. And in more players, it would have cost you money, possibly, to go there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'd have to bump people to get things you want. Yeah,
I would say that the luck factor is difficult. So on your first roll, you were really good. My first roll, I was mediocre at best. Then you had another bad roll. The tough part is when you build all this stuff and then it comes down to a roll of the die at the end, whether that's valuable or not. It's difficult. That helps level things out if someone's really good at building an engine in a 2-player game and you built a great engine. Well, now you have to rely on the luck, and maybe I get the luck to catch me up. I think
actually, now that you mention it, in our game, I had these that I never used. I could have re-rolled and probably done better. I didn't even think about that, mm-hmm. But those definitely would have helped. Reroll any dice that show lightning bolts. Reroll any 1 or more gray dice. So I could have rolled, basically had another Leyden jar worth of luck.
Could have gone several more times. And that's it. The luck part of it is a little tough just because there's only 1 eyeball on these. There's a 1 in 6 chance you're going to bring something to life.
But there's 2 on the blue.
But there's a 50% chance you're going to take a hit. Yeah, and I get it. It's thematically, I get it. So that's one thing I would say. For me, it's tough to where you're on that first roll when I rolled, I really didn't have the benefit I was hoping for. The other thing is on the humanity side, first to 10 humanity dial. That's almost impossible.
Well, only if you're going to aid Captain Walton.
Well,
so
to do
go to
anything,
the church.
yeah, to do anything at all for your monster or for anything else, you've got to take humanity hits.
But even that's thematic. It's like, yeah, I signed up for this thing, and now I realize that this is a real evil thing. I'm going to just spend my time thwarting everybody else.
Oh, agree. But the issue with the humanities is that you only get 20 points in this one dial. On the reputation and expertise for building a monster, you've got 2 dials, both for 20 points, and you get all the monster stuff. So the
Yeah, but the game is called Abomination.
Right, that's
it's not like
it's not humanity and
right,
so
right.
so I would just as a caution say, trying to keep this humanity up at some point. If it is a strategy to go in and say, you know what, I'm going to go to -20 and forget it because I can take every other humanity hit across the board,
right,
and take that -20 and try to maximize everything else because there's only so much. If you're trying to go for that 10 on the humanity dial, that's almost impossible to do.
Yeah, and it's only going to get you 10 extra points. I think that, again, going back to whether I play the base game or the Igor game, I just don't think, again, if you made the comments about the luck. If it was the non-variant version, we wouldn't have started with the Leyden jars like we did. We wouldn't be able to use them for rerolls.
3 more rounds and then come into the last round and have like 6 lightning bolts. I'll have to flip the table over.
It seems like it's unnecessary stress and not fun to have a game. I think they did a really good job of addressing my concerns when I first reviewed the game. Was it's way too long. You're doing the same thing twice, and yeah, you are. But the second time through, bones don't matter, and blood's a lot more important.
Yeah.
But the extra 4 rounds that we didn't have to play made all the difference in this game being one. I want to play this now every Halloween time. Like, this is a great Halloween type game. It's very dark, but it's a pretty good worker placement game. The tension is exactly where I like it to be in a game.
Yeah, and there's no one way to build your machine. There are multiple ways, multiple avenues forward. So that's the good news on a multiple player game, more than 2 players. Is there some other things you can do, but you have to go in knowing,
except that you're not going to build your monster, and it's just a matter of how many points you can eke out. But how many games do you play where you are building an engine and you're doing, you know, there's 1 or 2 moves a game that could have cost you the game that don't have this kind of theme. For us, like, our gaming group plays Santa's Workshop when it gets to the holidays, and for the Christmas holidays, and that is another game that's very tight and tense, and that one requires you to get the hammers. This game is, you might be blood, it might be
first half you have to have the bones,
right?
Second half you have to have the blood. It's the same thing, but some different. Which the bones are plentiful.
Right.
And everything you got is bone. Blood is a lot more limited. The problem is, one of the smart things and annoying things they did with this game is that the blood runs out after 2 rounds. Like, it's at maximum.
Yeah, but all that does is make you lose 2 points by going and getting an animal parts.
Right, but what I'm saying is the blood is a little bit more difficult to obtain, and it goes out quicker. So you got to get the blood last thing.
Right. I mean,
right before you have to give blood, maybe get here, maybe get some. So blood is very scarce. So you have to know that, like, for anyone watching, know that if you want to animate something or put skin on it, grab that blood early because it is difficult to come by.
And in the hospital, the most blood you're going to get is 2. The murder deck, when you murder someone, you lose a ton of humanity, but
you only get 3.
I know.
You only get 3. Like, if that were like 5 or 6, that'd be amazing.
I think the economy of the game is such that you really have to master it to be able to figure out, like, what is the most efficient use of my time. And even then, it's not always guaranteed because you might not get the cards you want coming up.
Yep.
To me, I think on a scale of 1 to great, the Igor variant takes this game from average because of the length of it and makes it like above solid. This is close to being, when you add the theme to it, it's close to being a great game for me because of the theme. You don't have a lot of games that have this much theme where you have this much crunch to it.
Yeah, if we didn't have the Igor variant, I would say, hey, this was great that we played it, but please never call me over again.
Right, yeah.
This variant makes it, okay, I feel like I knew this was going to happen about once you got that first roll and you got all those eyeballs, because then you can concentrate on other things. You can start focusing on getting the blood while I can't. If we're both trying to get blood at the same time, this is a tighter game because we're going for the same thing, but because you were able to chase blood and I was still chasing some other stuff, it was once you hit a certain threshold, you're able to high step it and get into the end zone a little faster than everyone else.
Well, but then, in fairness, I rolled so horribly the next time that you actually made a bit of a comeback.
Right, but I still had to go chase that blood. I was still
true.
Trying to build that blood engine. Is that a thing? It should be a thing.
It is now. I'm glad they made this variant because I would definitely play this game. It took a 3.5 hour game and made it about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. Way to go, Plaid Hat and designer Dan Blanchett. Thank you so much. Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein. That's our thoughts on the Igor variant. Thank you for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.